Hello, am I live? I am live. Hello, it is Dr. Darnise. And of course, soon as I come on, somebody is calling. All right. So, hello, it's Dr. Darnise. It is Sunday and time for a live. So, as usual, I am shuffling the cards. The topic for today is going to be ancestors, honoring our ancestors. And I had an interesting, what should I call it, field trip this week here in Savannah, Georgia. I had a good field trip. And I was reminded of some things in terms of how we need to remember our ancestors, the various ways that we need to remember and honor our ancestors. We live in a time now when there's so much pushback against everything Black, right? All this anti-Black, banning books, banning DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, banning Black studies. I mean, there's so much going on. So, one of the ways that shows up, hello, y'all, hello. I'm talking about ancestors. And one of the ways it shows up where we can lose sight of our history is when public spaces are renamed. So I'm in the South, right? So when these spaces are renamed and they drop the name, they change the name and like remove the slave part. So that's what I experienced a couple days ago. And so I'm going to be sharing more about that. Anyway, so I am shuffling the cards. We're going to do our tarot. I always start with the tarot. So are y'all just incognito? Who is here with me? Who is here with me? Who is here with me? And I can't promise I'm going to stay the whole hour today. I have other things to tend to right now. Oh, okay. So let me say, Temperance. Temperance is an angel, right? Hello, I am one. Yes, all is one. Temperance is the angel of alchemy and balance. You can see this angel is performing alchemy, right? Doing magic, right? Turning base elements into something valuable. Water. Hello, Pearly J. Standing in the water, right? So this is a card of balance, and also creating something good, like a divine. There's something divine about it, right? And Seven of Wands, right? Wands are about activity. So Seven of Wands is normally about holding your ground, standing up for yourself. If you make a decision, if you're weighing things, like the cups, how the cups are going, if you're weighing things, then you may have to really stand your ground when you are talking about it to someone else. And then what is this? The Six of Cups. Six of Cups. And this card tends to be about nostalgia. Some people read it as something from your childhood is coming back. People read it like, oh, because there are cups, it's about emotion, love, and it could be a lover coming back from your past. But it doesn't have to be that. It could just be about nostalgia. So are we looking back? Let's get some clarification on that. There seems to be in this reading so far anyway, something about having to make a decision. See, the angel has the two cups, right, going back and forth, and the pentacles, two going back and forth about like maybe money issues, two things. It's kind of topsy-turvy. See in the back, the waves are topsy-turvy. So there's got to be some resolution, right? And so make a decision about the resolution. It's got to be worked out, right? Making a decision about the resolution. You may have to stand your ground. You may have to stand your ground on something as you make a resolution. Right. So let's see where that takes us. Because generally what happens is in these readings, they show themselves to be quite relevant. And already I can see why, because of what I just said about, hey, honoring our ancestors. And so from nostalgia, right, about the past. And we have to honor it. We have to defend our past from other people who would diminish or erase our history. And so it really is up to us to defend it. So I've been uploading some shorts recently. I don't know if you've seen that, but I've been uploading some shorts. And I uploaded from this, what should I call it now? It's called the Wormslow Historic Site. That's the name of it now. I'm going to type it in here. Wormslow Historic Site. And it is, again, in Savannah, Georgia. Well, the full name used to be the Wormslow Historic Site and Plantation. But some people get upset if they have to think about our nation's slave history. Some people, they just walk around in a bubble like they have forgotten that that was part of our history and that they don't want to talk about it anymore and they don't want to have to face it anymore, right? They feel some kind of a way and they want everybody to forget about it and be quiet about it. Why do I have to talk about anything related to slavery? Well, these same people will go on to a tour in a city like Savannah and, cities in the South. People will go on tours of these historic sites and then not want to hear about slavery. Literally, people want to have events at plantations, right? We know we're talking about. White people want to have events. They want to have a wedding at a plantation. They want to have some kind of party, some kind of event because the grounds are beautiful and it's a big house. And so to them, they're thinking about the antebellum South, right? This like glory days of the South, made famous, of course, by Gone with the Wind. It's all genteel, right? It was such a genteel way of life. And I don't know, you could sit outside and have somebody bring you a mint julep. Somebody, like who? Who brought you a mint julep? Who cleaned your house? Who was out in the fields that you looked at? But so some people, they just don't want us to think about that at all. And so in a city like Savannah and many throughout the South, as I said, they get mad. Like you can see some of the reviews they leave on these tours. And they'll say, oh, the tour was good, but I really wish the guy hadn't talked so much about slavery because it would just put a damper on things. Like, I'm not even making this up. You can see on like TripAdvisor or wherever people leave their travel reviews, they will literally say like, oh, that was such a bummer. All right. So anyway, I went to the Wormslow Historic Site, and it was kind of like at the last minute I decided to go. There's lots of places here I've been meaning to go. This is Gullah Geechee land, y'all, here in the Low Country, Gullah Geechee culture. And so I'm always, going to one historic site or another because I'm a historian and I study about Hoodoo and I study about, Gullah Geechee people. And I was out doing something and I saw a sign. I was like, oh, let me go there today. I'm going to go there right now. So I went and I was like, what happened to this place was called Wormslow Historic Site and Plantation. Oh yeah, we don't call it that anymore because we just want to recommend. This is like in the literature, the little pamphlets and stuff they give you. Because it was more than just a plantation, is what they are saying. More than just a plantation, it was a historic site. So here comes a little history for y'all. So y'all know Georgia is situated between South Carolina and Florida. And so back in the day, before America was the United States, Florida was colonized by the Spanish. And the English were still coming over and trying to establish territory. Well, Georgia was being established in 1733 by James Oglethorpe and his crew, we might as well say. So this particular person, Noble Jones, I'm kind of going through this part fast. I don't know how interested y'all are in the actual history. But one of James Oglethorpe's colleagues, this man by the name of Noble Jones, he bought this land that is the Wormslow Historic Site and Plantation as a buffer between the onslaught of the Spanish in Florida and the territory that the British Americans were trying to hold on to. So this area, the Wormslow Historic Site and Plantation, was established by this man, Noble Jones. But who was going to work this land, y'all? And mind you, first of all, this was land that was already occupied, of course, by native Muskogee people. I made a little video too. I did a short and I made a video. Y'all can see that on the channel. Anyway, this guy gets the land, and of course, who's going to work the land? Now, interestingly, James Oglethorpe, this British man, he was an abolitionist. And initially, Georgia was settled to not have slavery. But that didn't last long, right? Because what other labor source are you going to have at the time in the 1700s? And so Noble Jones bought some, enslaved some people. And I think they said at the height, there were about 1,500 enslaved people there. So this is why my point talking about all of this is about our ancestors. Because now I'm telling you, like, why this particular area, it looks like a big old park, right, was originally settled, right? And that African people were brought there to work that land and to defend that land against the Spanish. So African people have to defend this land against the Spanish, which, by the way, here's something y'all might not know. Put this in the chat if you're like, no, I didn't even know that. If you were an enslaved person and you could get to St. Augustine, Florida, you'd be free. If you could get yourself to St. Augustine, Florida, which is right around Jacksonville, northern Florida, if you could get there, the Spaniards said, if you get here to St. Augustine and you convert to Catholicism and you help us beat back these British, you're free. We're not going to keep you in slavery. Now, keep that in mind. Florida is a stone's throw from Georgia. But these enslaved people on this particular plantation were told, well, I mean, they're kept in slavery, right? To fight against the Spanish, right, Pearlie? There's so much in this region that most Americans don't know. There's so much in this region. St. Augustine, Florida is in and of itself a historic city. You settled by the Spanish. Because remember, in the early days, 1600s, right, everybody's fighting it out for the so-called New World. They're fighting it out. Who gets to own this landmass, right? The Spanish, the French, the English, right? So the Spanish were in Florida holding it down and kind of losing ground, though, as more and more English kept coming. As we know, we speak English, right? So obviously the English ultimately won. But for African people who were enslaved in Georgia, the idea that I have to not only labor on this Wormslow property, I have to not only labor here, but fight off the Spanish who are actually offering me freedom. So when I go on these tours, right, I'm like, actually, I don't always. I let the people do their spiel. It ain't my show. I'm like, it's not me. It's not my class. Let them do their thing. I don't need to be in their thing. Let me see how they're going to present this, right? And I will say often the guides, I have found that the guides in a lot of these places, they actually know, and they will weave in little things, right? Larger historical context. It'll be the other people on the tour who don't want to hear it. They'll be like, oh, wow, this is great. Or, oh, wow, this is great. Oh, wow, this is great. And the guide will say, yes. And so this over here was built by, people in slavery. Oh, this over here was enslaved. They had 1,200 slaves at one point here. Oh, well, we don't really want to talk about that. It's so divisive. You came on a tour of a place called a plantation. Okay, so these are the things that stick in my mind, right? Like, so the African people here had to fight back the very people who would offer them freedom. So honor our ancestors because we have to tell the story. We have to tell the story. What I do with my card, right? We have to go back, see this card again, nostalgia, and defend our story and our land, our territory. We have to keep it alive, right? We have to defend it because this place is now called the Wormslow Historic Site. It used to be called the Wormslow Historic Site and Plantation. Now think about, because there are people who came with their children, right? Young children. I'm like, they're never gonna know unless like somebody's gonna have to tell them specifically. Because once you erase the name, you've erased that part of the name, you've revised the name. What you have done is you have erased the fact that this place was a plantation. You're whitewashing American history because your feelings are hurt. You don't want your children to feel bad and your grandchildren to feel bad. But those of us who are descended from the natives and the African people, too bad for us. And we see this all over the country right now, this anti-Black, as if African Americans are just, or Black Americans, but going to just vanish. The very fact that we're here, it's like the very fact that I'm here, I guess I make you uncomfortable, right? Just being here, which makes a lot of sense. Literally just being here makes them uncomfortable. And that's why they act out. They act out because they're uncomfortable by us being here. My being here says, oh, once upon a time, your ancestors brought my ancestors here against their will and imposed the brutalities of slavery and everything that went with it. So we have to honor our ancestors. So when I was standing there looking around, like taking pictures and stuff, all I could think about, because this, is fairly dense. Like it is a large park, like a forest that you're standing inside of, a forest. Okay, heavily wooded area, lots and lots and lots of live oak trees, and the beautiful Spanish moss. I mean, it's beautiful. And what I was thinking about was, how would I get out? Now, the movie Get Out? Put in the chat. Get Out. Remember the movie Get All I could think of was, how would you get out? And see, what I'm recognizing, and that's my ancestors and me saying, whatever this looks like, we're trying to get out. We're trying to get away from here. So it's a dense forest, even in 2024. And they took us from the visitor center. You take a little shuttle and they drop you off a mile and a half in, right? There's a little museum, which was closed because it was the end of the day and they closed already. But it's a mile and a half past the entrance, meaning the main road. Well, once you're a mile and a half in, you can't see the road. You just in the forest. Right, Pearly J? Remember the movie Get Out? That's what I was thinking of, standing there, because I was like, okay, I'm a mile and a half in. I know that because I just came in here, right? But if I was somebody in slavery who had been dragged here, right, and I was kept here, and I had the fear of God put in me about even trying to go anywhere, or if I was a child born there, would I have a notion about what is around me? Right. Now, granted, they walked around a lot more than we did. But if in 2024, it looks daunting, because mostly it's like somebody just dropped you down into some thick woods. Somebody just dropped you down into some thick woods. Find your way out. Y'all ever watch that show Naked and Afraid, or any of those survivalist shows, right? Find your way out. And that our ancestors had to deal with, it wasn't like find your way out where you just walk out, right? You're under constant surveillance. There are certain places you're not supposed to be. You can't even just walk around. You better be doing something that looks legit. So anyway, my point is, I looked around and I said, in 2024, this is an intimidating location because it's just woods. I mean, at this point, of course, there's a path, roads and walkways and stuff, but my ancestors within me were like, get out. That's what they kept saying. Get out. Because in the 1700s and the 1800s, it would have been even more dense forest. The only way that that area got cleared out is because of their labor, right? And there probably was some native people who got caught up in it. There was probably some poor white people who got caught up in it, maybe some Irish people. But of course, the white people, Irish or whatever, can walk off and assimilate, right? Because sometimes people, they want us to remember, well, my ancestors came over, they were Irish, and came over as indentured servants. Indentured servant? That means I could just walk off and blend in with the rest of the population. That don't mean, yay, I'm an indentured servant. I'm just right. By the time we got to a chattel slavery system, it was impossible for Black people to just assimilate, right? If you were out of your plantation, even, you had to have papers. You had to have some reason for being off of the plantation. You had to have your master's permission slip to be off of the plantation. So again, my whole mindset or feeling was it would have just been so overwhelming to think about leaving. So those people who ran away from a plantation, we have to remember them. We have to uplift them. Our ancestors did we're soft now. And of course, they did it because they wanted us to be free. They wanted us to have a better life. But sometimes I hear people say stuff like on the internet, people be like, well, that couldn't happen in these times. That couldn't happen now. That couldn't have been me. I'm not my ancestors. I'm not my ancestors. I couldn't have been a slave. What? As opposed to, okay, you would have been dead. I mean, that is an option. But the people to survive is actually courageous. To survive is courageous. To have hope that things can be better is courageous. And you and I, anybody watching this, we are here because some people survived. All right, somebody, I feel a sermon coming on. We are here because people survived it. And we cannot walk around here, in our privilege saying, I am not my ancestors. I wouldn't have put up with that. We are literally our ancestors. We are literally, our DNA connects us to them. Who are we if we are not our ancestors? Who was you then? Did you grow up out of the ground just like a tree, like a plant? We can all think about who do we look like in our family? Whose mannerisms do you have in your family, even if you don't really want to? Or if you look around, your family at a dinner table, a holiday or whatever, you look around and you see family resemblance. Like in my family, it's so strong. Family resemblance is so strong. Well, and I'm mostly with my mother's family, but it's interesting because even when I'm with my father's side, I look like them. It's like if you put me next to my mother's family or my father's family, I morph into a Martin, I morph into a Thornton. But my point is, like, I can look around and see people. Obviously, we're sharing the same genes. It's the same genetic makeup that just gets recombined every coupling. Every time somebody has a baby, the same genes have just recombined, right? And then you looking around the table at all your relatives, you like, dang, we look alike. My grandmother would have been 110 today. I know I'm blessed because she came through it. Wow. And all the things that they endured, like more after slavery, right? Those of us who, like, when I think about my great grandmother, I know she had to clean houses for white people. My grandmother worked in a kitchen in a hospital. And so just knowing that, they made a way for me. They made a way for me, right? Your people made a way for you the best way they could. And a primary way is surviving horrific chattel slavery. How do you survive that, right? Like, how do you go on from that? But they did. And then those of our ancestors who lived, the early 1900s, some of those people got lynched. Some of them didn't make it. So those of us who are here now, we are them. And we can look in the mirror and be like, wow. Or I know I stand like my mother. My mother passed in 1988. And I am surprised at how many of her mannerisms I have. So where does that even come from? Like I, literally don't see her, right? So since 1988. But I will find myself standing in front of a mirror the way she stood in front of a mirror, right? And teaching class, I would stand in front of a classroom and I would be standing the way she did, holding a glass the way she did. Like, what is that? Somebody tell me, are there any geneticists here? Like I guess there's something to be said for like it imprinted on me because I saw it so much over, you know, until I was 21 when she passed. So yeah, I saw it a lot. But the fact that I'm still doing it, right, at these age, right? Yeah, means that there's a genetic imprint and that we owe something to our ancestors. So again, we got to remember those who came before us, right? The nostalgia card and holding our ground. Meaning we got to hold our ground against the times in which we live. Like they fought a fight of abolition. Like, right? They fought a fight of abolition. They fought against Jim Crow. They fought for an anti-lynching law. Can you imagine? We had to fight for a law not to be lynched. And when I tell my students that, I was like, you got to let that sit. Because when people today try to act like, oh no, none of that wasn't as bad. It really wasn't as bad as you all say. We had to demand that this country institute a law against murder called lynching. And when you think about that, you're like, well, that is the nature of America, where people have had to say, "No, it's a crime to lynch me. It's a crime. Oh no, I don't care about that." So here we are in 2024 facing a new Jim Crow, and it's incumbent upon each of us to stand our ground and to keep moving forward, right? We've got to survive and pass on our genes, and those who have children, biological children, we have to do something for the next generation, right? So I teach, right? I've been teaching for how many years now, Lord? 18 years or so. I'm about tired of it. I'm a semi-retired college professor because talking to Gen Z, they want to go back. Pearly J, they want to go back in time, right? They want to go back. Well, here we are in a new Jim Crow because, yes, they do. They want to outlaw the telling of our history because it actually makes them feel bad. And so I think, well, if you're so proud of your country, you are patriots, you say. You're patriots, you're proud of your country, but so fragile around telling the history of it. I just can't reconcile those things. Isn't that just in and of itself hypocrisy? Those things don't go together. How are you proud of your country, but you don't want the history of your country to be told? If you tell the history of my country, it's going to make us look bad. Well, then what exactly are you proud of? I mean, in order to have a better country, what we could have, right? Here's my offering. What we could have is a situation where the nation, where white folks really just really reconcile. Yes, this is what happened. We're going to now make it better. and not have to be dragged across the finish line of making it better, not be resistant at every point. Like Black people have had to fight for every little bit of progress we've had. Nobody just said, well, here, you just have this. You could just be free. You could just have this land. You could just have, no, everything. So when I say, what America could look like for those who are patriots is to acknowledge, yeah, this is what happened. We can't go back and erase it. We don't want to go back and erase it. We're going to acknowledge that this is what happened because that's the way people live now. Now we're going to make it better. And so one thing we're not going to do is stand in the way of anybody doing what they need to do to get ahead. Anyway, so what I want to say too. So do you have an ancestor altar? If you don't have an ancestor altar, please go and make one, or please create some kind of ritual in your life where you honor your ancestors because they survived and you're here. Like I am one, you said your grandmother, right? Now, yeah, that's a blessing. So in some way, can you honor her? And, the traditional altar, you just have a white tablecloth, right? A white candle, a glass of water, they're pictures. Basic. You just keep it very basic. I mean, you've probably seen pictures of very elaborate altars, and you can get as elaborate as you want to, that you have space for. But definitely, white tablecloth, white candle, glass of water, if you're feeling, put some food on it, put some fruit on it, put their picture, and just say, I remember you and I thank you for getting me here. Right. And if they were not, some people are like, well, my family, I don't have anybody who I really, my family, they're not worth me remembering. Well, my answer to that is if you know that they did not do well, right? Your family members, like maybe they had a lot of flaws, let's just say. Figure out how you can make it better. Because, as we get older, we come to understand context more. Like, if you had a father, grandfather, uncle, whoever who was, an alcoholic or, they abandoned the family, something like this. The older we get, we understand why those kinds of things might have happened, which doesn't mean it was made it better, but you have more of an understanding. And so when you think about that relative and you want to have them on the altar, you just pray for them. Just say, you know what? I know you had a hard time and it didn't go easily for you. So you just pray for them. You don't have to, you're not praying to them anyway, right? You're not worshiping. We're not worshiping our ancestors. We're just remembering them. And some people by default do anyway, because they have like a wall of family pictures, just kind of by default. Butterfly Shiraz, my third great grandmother, was born in 1868 in the same city I live in. I visit her grave often. I even just go sit and talk to her. Right? Because, if you think about it, she didn't know you, right? She didn't know you in the flesh, but now she can. When you do that and go and talk to her, she can know you. Right? Like it's this great line of continuity. We did not create ourselves in the physical realm, right? So when I say, who do you even look like? Right? Who do you look like? Whose name do you have? Right? These people shaped us. I do have an altar from them. I baked her favorite cake to remember her today. That's so wonderful. I know I have sorry for them. I have some jewelry on mine at my mother's picture because my mother loved jewelry. And it's sadly, I don't have a lot of her jewelry. Like I don't somehow, when I say my mother had a lot of jewelry, she had a lot of jewelry because she really liked jewelry. And it just got lost. It got lost. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Anyway, the couple of pieces that I have of her rings, I have this like relationship with her. Like I said, oh, okay, I'm gonna wear it today. So we share it. And when I take it off at the end of the day, I put it back on the altar and I said, now you get to wear it, right? I leave it here with you. And then those days that I want to wear it, then I wear it. I go, oh, I'm going to wear the ring today. And, it's a way of like just maintaining. a relationship, a lineage. One thing I know about my mother is she didn't get to do a lot of the things that she wanted to do in this life. She had me when she was 19, which, was not really her plan. Most of us get here, we're not really planned in the moment that we get here. And so there are a lot of things that she didn't get to do because she was busy, trying to provide, right? And she was a young woman. Right, and my father was around too, but he was just young. They were just kids. They didn't know what they were doing, but they were trying. I have to give it to them. They were trying. That's what I can say is they were trying, and I can appreciate that now because it meant that I get to have a lot more opportunities and privilege because my great grandmother cleaned houses for white people. My grandmother cooked in the kitchen. My mother worked jobs that she didn't necessarily want. She worked for the airline, actually, and she loved to travel. So it was great on one hand, but she also hated it on another level. It was very confining for her. And it was so confined. She used to work for American Airlines. This is what, now anybody, this is just how Black women are. So she would come home from work, right? Her American Airlines uniform on, so navy blue from top to bottom. And she would go right to the bathroom, right? We come in the house, go right to the bathroom. She would strip down to her underwear and leave the entire uniform on the floor of the bathroom. And it would irritate me so bad because it was my job, of course, to keep the bathroom clean. And she would tell me to bring her clothes to the room, to her bedroom. She is like, she went in that from the door to the bathroom, took off those navy blue heels, took off the navy blue pantyhose, took off the navy blue skirt, the white shirt with the little tie thing. Y'all know you fly American or whatever airline you fly, right? You see them in their uniform, take off all the things and left it on the floor. Like she was so sick of it, she just left it all on the floor and would get up and walk in her underwear to her bedroom. I'd be like, when you go into your bedroom, why don't you just carry it with you? She'd be like, no, you carry it. My maternal side had celebrated family reunion for 30 years, but then came COVID. Yeah, so I wonder, Pearly J, how can you, I don't know, maybe do it in a small way to get it going again, right? That might just be something that you or your generation might have to like get in gear again because, you know, when people scatter or you get out of the habit of a certain routine, it can be lost, right? So, is there some way that you can make a point of doing some things again? And you can do it in honor of those who came before and did it before. Like it was always my uncle, one of my uncles who passed on, he took it upon himself every year to cook and get my grandmother's house together for the holidays. And he was very colorful, shall we say, because he would, how people cook and they use every pot in the kitchen. He was that type of cook. He didn't wash nothing. He would just keep using more and more stuff. So the kitchen was a mess. But he was the person to do that, to keep the family kind of, no, everybody's coming over here. This is what we're doing. This is what we're eating. Yeah. So let me see. Was there anything else? Seemed like there was something else I was going to talk about today. I would just say, make sure you support me on Patreon if you can. And oh yeah, so I opened up a tier on there for people who want a one-time consultation. So you can do that from Patreon. If you go over to Patreon, and the link is in the description box when this live finishes. Go onto Patreon and you'll see that there's a one-time consultation. There's another one if you're like, no, this would be good to have once a month. So if you want the ongoing monthly, you'll find that as an option as well. But please do support the channel. I definitely support y'all for showing up on Sundays. I appreciate just, having conversation partners because I like it better than just doing a static video because then I just throw it out there and it gets views or it doesn't get views. I have noticed though with the shorts, so if you haven't seen my shorts, go and look for my shorts, where I share like a daily reflection or a meditation on something. I'm trying to think, what did I talk about last week? Um, oh, when you don't use your blessings. Oh, here's another way that it connects to our ancestors. We can have gifts and talents passed down to us, right? From other people in the family. Like, suppose you learn how to cook from a grandparent. Suppose you learn how to sew, whatever it is you learn how to do, right? And sometimes we learn these things not because we wanted to, but because we had to do the thing when we were a kid. But anyway, now you have that gift and you have it to share with others, but you don't. Because, you might say, well, I'm busy making a living too. I got to work. I have kids. I got people to. So my topic was, I said, now reflect on this. You have certain gifts to share. If you don't share them, the universe is just going to give it to somebody else. And then you're going to look at and be like, I was going to write a book like that. I was going to do that. Or, I was going to open this business. I was going to do that. Well, you've been saying, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. For how long? So that's my month, starting in May, I'm going to have a like twice a month gathering for those who are spiritual teachers, spiritual entrepreneurs, creative types who are like, I really want to get my thing out there. I really want to finally write that book. I really want to finally do this thing. So twice a month, we're going to meet together in a group and, have accountability with me, right? As your leader, as your mentor, as your coach, helping you figure out the stuff that normal, because people get overwhelmed, right? I've been doing this kind of stuff for a long time. So I know like the tech and the marketing, whatever, if you really are a creative person, you don't want to think about that. If you're a creative person, if you're a spiritual healer, teacher, author, you're like, I don't know how to do all that. It's overwhelming. I never can do it. Well, that's why I'm having this group to help people navigate so you can do your thing, stay in your lane of genius that you inherited from your ancestors. Stay in your lane of genius without getting overwhelmed from all the other stuff that you have to do in the 21st century, the way it is now. And that gift that they gave you is a gift for you too. Right? If you make the best, who said they made a cake? If you make really good cakes, then you can sell those cakes, right? If like my best friend, she takes in sewing every now and then. Think about how old fashioned that sounds. She takes in sewing because her father was a tailor and she became a tailor and a pattern maker too. That's how we met. We both were working in fashion back in the early 90s. And so she has a skill that not many people have today, sewing. So once people find out, oh, you know how to sew, they want to give her all their sewing, although she hates it. She's like, I don't want to sew. But she has this gift because her father taught her these things, how to sew and how to make patterns, how to make clothes. So, right, she could do something if she used to, right, when we were in fashion, but she could do more with that if she wanted to. What is it that you want to do? Do you have something on the back burner? Do you have something you're like, oh, I always wanted to, I've been meaning to, but you just need some help with it? Anyway, that's what that group is going to be about. But if you just want to support with Patreon, that'd be great. Think broadly about your ancestors too, and the different ways that we're standing up for them. We are standing up for our ancestors now. We're standing up for them because we live in a country and a time when literally we are being silenced and whitewashed. I can't believe it. The Wormslow Historic Site and Plantation is now just known as the Wormslow Historic Site. So they just may as well have taken a white paint and just went completely over, and it's gone now, erased. Didn't this used to be a plantation? A what? No. Because younger generations will come up and they'll be like, no, I never heard that. No one ever told me it used to be a plantation. That's what I mean by whitewash, right? So it's up to us. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up today because I said I had something else to do. Here it is, Sunday evening. I got to do one more thing tonight. So anybody want to say anything before we jump off of here? Again, I do appreciate y'all. I try to be here every Sunday. Have been for most Sundays, so let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Um, yeah, okay. Well, y'all have a great week. Look on the channel for like previous live streams. If you want to catch up with other live streams that I've been doing, other videos that maybe you haven't watched, I'm trying to grow the channel. We are up to like over 3,800 people on the channel, which in the world of YouTube is still considered a small channel, but we're about to get to 4,000. We get to 4,000, I should give away my book or something. One of these books. Oh, speaking of, y'all, I should mention this. I was talking about my mother, right? Let me see, can you see this? This book is called Mother Loss, Reflections on Grief. I don't know how well you can see. Mother Loss, Reflections on Grief. That's me. That little girl is me. And those are my mother's legs. And I wrote this, see this little slim volume. It really is just a reflection on dealing with my mother's passing, because it was very sudden when she was she had just turned 40, like a few days after her 40th birthday. She had a surgery that went, horribly wrong. And so over the years, I was not able to really process it. And I really didn't, grief. I didn't do that. I just shut it down. But what I did do, and thank y'all for those hearts, what I did do was start to write. Such a glare. What I did do was start to write, and I came up with this. It's a manual, really. I mean, it's my own processing and working through my own grief. It took me many, 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 many years to write this, even though it's only like barely, not even 100 pages. Because it was processing things. So I just want to share this because also Mother's Day is coming up next month. And for many of us, we don't have our mother. We don't have our mother here on this side, right? So, this has helped people, Mother Loss, Reflections on Grief. And it's one of the ways that I, remember my mother is because that is literally a picture of us. And I can see like her, I remember I was talking about how she stands. I'm reminded of how she stands, her body posture, her hands. You can see her hands in that picture. And so, it's, I mean, I have an actual photograph, but it's one of those little tiny, those little tiny pictures like this. So I'm grateful to have that. And it became the cover for that book. Anyway, so if you are someone who has lost your mother or grandmother, yeah, Pearly J, thank you. It's on Amazon too, if you would like to get it for anybody who's lost. I mean, because it's about grieving and it's about how to process that. So I share it normally with my clients. And before I wouldn't even publish it, y'all. I would not publish it for years. I'm telling y'all, for years. But I would give it to people who I thought could benefit from it. I would just send them like a PDF of it. And people would say it really helped them, although people would say it's very emotional. It's very emotional because I'm just sharing, what I was going through. And then a couple other people in my family also passed away shortly after her. So it was Natalie, this really, really recent for you. Last month, well, February. Yeah, it is an empty feeling. And that's why I say it took me so long to write it, because a lot of the years I just wasn't willing to accept it. I mean, I just couldn't cope. I couldn't cope. I was about 21, and I went back to college because I was, left college to go to the funeral and all that. And then I went back to school because I knew my mother would want me to finish school. So I was in my junior year, went back, finished up junior year, and then senior year. But I couldn't really deal, Natalie, so I didn't deal for I don't know. Oh, I do know, until I was 30. I remember I was 30. And I had been praying about it. And when the answer came, I wasn't happy about that answer. Can I just tell you, I was not happy with the answer that came. I prayed for healing or something, because it had been heavy grief and I hadn't really processed it. And it was a lot. I was trying to stifle it. Anyway, I'm going to go through all that. But at 30, I was praying about it, and the answer came, we're going to have to go back to the cemetery and deal. Start there. Start at the cemetery. That's the guidance I got. It's like my angel told me, and mind you, I was living in California at the time. That meant I was gonna have to get on a plane and go to Cincinnati. I was in my doctoral program in Berkeley. I was gonna have to get on a plane and go to Ohio and go to the cemetery. And I did. I said, I have to do it. I have to. It had been, almost 10 years. So I did that, and it opened up, of course, a lot of emotional stuff, and I had to process. I had to start processing, and then that led me to be able to write it in the form of something cohesive. It led me to be able to share it with other people, and then ultimately to make it available on Amazon. So it's only like 70 pages or so, and it's got some like questions and things at the end. So for anybody else going through that type of grief, to help you process as well. So it's kind of a manual. Although Natalie, it's so recent for you. I don't know. It's very like wrenching, I will say, just as a heads up. But since we're coming up on Mother's Day, I like to just let people know, there's a whole group of us who don't have our mothers in the flesh, and so what do we do? And some years, some Mother's Day, it's okay. Like some Mother's Days, I'm just like relishing in my adopted mothers, like all the women I know who are kind of mother figures to me. I can kind of just appreciate them as mother figures. And other years, I'm just like, oh, this is just terrible. And it is what it is. But anyway, I said I was going to go here, but had to get that in because I looked over and I was like, oh, there's my ancestor right there. So again, thank y'all. Support the channel with your, I always forget to say, what is this super chat where you can like tip me for money? I forget to even to think about that, but you can support the channel any way you want to, Patreon or whatnot. And maybe I'll see you back here next Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern. All right, so bye for now. Thanks for hanging out.